What's going on, creative people? This is episode 36, a part 1 of Camerin Allgood's episode. And she shared so many good stuff and I wouldn't be able to stress them enough. So you would have to really listen to it yourself to find out what I'm talking about. So if you want to be entertained and inspired, then stay tuned. You'll get to hear a part 1 of her episode 36, and the part 2 of her episode on episode 37. So stay tuned and listen, and please, I would encourage you to share, rate us, give us some good review, to help us get more quality guests like Camerin Allgood, who is a movement artist. Stay tuned and enjoy. That's a good one. Hey, creative people, I think you just saw what just happened. If you didn't see it, go onto YouTube and see what she just did. So I have here Camerin Watson.
Hi.
Hold on. She's a little bit nervous, and I'm going to say it because that's how it is sometimes. She's quite new to this space. So let me tell you what, this is Creativity is an Idea podcast, a source of creativity for creative people. And I am your host, Pyeric, and I have Camerin Watson. She is a movement artist. And you know what? I'm not going to tell you what she does. All I'll say is she's a movement artist and she is going to paint a picture of what she does to us. Right? So
Yeah.
tell them, I'll have a lot to say about you. Trust me. Maybe you're going 3 minutes, 4 minutes and like, okay. So paint a picture. What do you mean when you say a movement artist?
Well, in the most basic version of that, maybe. I am a dancer and a dance teacher and a sharer of movement. I like to use the word movement because I think everybody knows that they can move. Some people hear the word dance and they're like, oh no, I can't do that. But everyone can dance.
Yeah,
And then we trick them into knowing that by saying movement instead. But I also think that dance sort of gives voice to this idea of something that you have to be trained to do or naturally good at, and you have rhythm. But dance really is just movement with intention. So anytime you're moving thoughtfully, you're dancing, and that could be through life or to music or to a story or what. Right? There's so many different ways. So I'm a teaching artist. I work in studios. I also go into classrooms and do residencies using dance to teach literacy skills. And then also I am very lucky to be involved with Chaos, the nonprofit that makes the Boom Festival. And that festival came about because we wanted to change the way that art is made and shared and collaborated on and dialogued about, because we believe it should be an integral part of life, and we want to create an atmosphere where that can exist. And it also is a catalyst for bringing people together across traditional divides and starting conversations about hard topics. So that's sort of a movement in of itself, right? That Boom is the sort of product of this long-going collaboration of a group of artists that are ever-changing and creatives beyond just artists, right? Ever-changing. So I want to help shape the conversations we have about our society as a performer and creator of art, and also as a creator of space and someone who brings people together.
Someone who makes moves to bring people together. So Camerin, by the way, we do have a friend here. Camerin brought her friend here, and he's behind the scene or beside Camerin. How are you doing? Wonderful. I'm doing well.
I bribed him with Starbucks.
And he accepted. Yeah, as you can see, Starbucks is in his hands, and he's not holding Starbucks. Starbucks is holding him.
Yeah.
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 So, I wanted to say, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, I would encourage you to subscribe, share, rate us, do something for us so that we can get more quality guests like Camerin here, who will be able to share what they've been through and what is possible for other people to know. I think I'm lost of words, so I'll stick to my questions. So, I just went blank. It's okay.
There's one about childhood.
Hey. She's just reminding me of the questions. You know what? Let's do it this way. I'll go blank sometimes, and I will remember.
Okay.
As time goes on. So it's gonna be out of format.
I got you.
And because of what you just did, my ego is telling me I'm not gonna ask you about the childhood.
All right.
Tell me.
I'm ready.
Okay. When and how did you decide to do what you're doing? Like.
Well, I decided to go to college for dance.
Mm-hmm.
So most people that go to college for dance started dancing when they were 2 and danced for a long time. I started dancing when I was 16. I was performing with a really amazing company, but we weren't doing like technique classes. We weren't learning ballet or jazz. We were just learning. We were making up dances, learning dances, developing dances together, and performing them. And the whole thing was about building self-esteem and confidence in young women and giving them a space to be free and expressive. So it was a great place to like develop a love for movement because no one was telling me I wasn't good enough. No one was telling me I had to look a certain way to dance or do these things a certain way that were, and I think that was a great introduction to movement. So then I was like just dancing around the living room one day, and my mom's friend Toby was in town, and he happened into the living room and was watching, and he was like, this is something you need to do with your life. And I think I wanted him to tell me that. Like I wanted to create a space for someone to tell me that this is what I needed to do, because I knew I needed to do it, but I needed to hear it externally too, which is probably why I was dancing around in the living room, like hoping that he was going to happen upon it and like give me some encouragement.
So it's a strategical move.
As I look back, like in that moment, I don't think I was conscious of all those things, right? But reflecting about that moment, I think that's...
You wanted something.
I needed somebody to tell me that this was okay. And so I started looking at schools for dance. I thought I was going to be a teacher, so it sort of like changed everything I was looking for. And then when I decided I wanted to be a dancer, I didn't want to be a teacher. I was just going to go and dance and perform in a professional company. The secret is, it's not really a secret, but I didn't know it at the time, is that's unless you're going to be like a prima ballerina, that's not a real option. There are a couple big modern dance companies in New York. Even most of them like build like firing the company into their like season so that the company members can get unemployment because they can't afford to pay them all year. So the dance world is not lucrative. This is not what you do when you want to make money. So I went to college, had this amazing experience, developed myself as a dancer, like took technique classes, learned some things, learned a lot about how to be an artist. And I was already creative in a lot of ways, but it sort of helped me hone all of that. And then I got out of school and I needed to make money. And there's not a lot of money to be made in performing dance. So I started teaching and I was like, oh, I love this. Like I love sharing this idea. All these things that have helped develop who I am with young people. And then I started teaching adults and giving them a space to like be in their bodies. And I really believe in like the mind-body connection and how necessary it is for us to like live in this body that we're in. And sometimes we get really heady and forget about the fact that we are given this gift of movement. And so that's how I started teaching.
That's how you started teaching. So, they get fired. You get on, and wow, I'm discovering something new I can use.
Don't build that into your organizational structure.
Just kidding. So, Camerin, tell me, you said you started dancing around 16, I think I started dancing when I was in my mom's womb. I started before you. So, tell me.
That's a good point. I mean, I think I've always been dancing, but that's when I started taking dance, doing it in a structured environment.
Okay, then you got me. Mine wasn't structured. So tell
That's
me,
the best kind.
tell me, there. You were 16. So, how was your childhood like growing up?
It was great. I I was from Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
I could walk to my elementary school and my middle school and high school.
Mm.
I wasn't dancing early on, but I took like dance for 2 years when I was 2 or 3 or something.
Like,
Like 2 and 3 years old.
okay.
Just like a creative dance class. And then I stopped dancing and I did baseball and I ran track briefly and then broke my leg and then and then I did gymnastics for a long time.
Oh.
So I was always like doing physical things. And we would go see the Nutcracker every year, which was amazing. The Atlanta Ballet partnered with the Atlanta Symphony. My brother is blind and on the autism spectrum, and so he could like enjoy the live music, and I would enjoy the dance, and it was like this perfect family outing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. He's like, he can't tell when people don't like him or are frustrated with him, or he doesn't like recognize those emotions in other people. So he's just like loving and kind, like all the time.
Yeah.
To people that don't understand him or don't know what to do with him, and he can't even like process that. Something really beautiful about that. And he also like won't take no for an answer. Like
I can probably testify to that, but before I testify to that, I'll say it's such a joy, when you're able to, anybody in that situation, some of their senses are dull, and they are still able to see joy in so many things. You see how innocent they are, how peaceful they want to roll sometimes. It sort of makes you, it puts your mind at ease, like why all this hustle and bustle? Things could be so easy when we really think that things are going to be all right, when we have that in mind and we keep doing our stuff. So when you look at anybody in that situation, it's such an inspiration, it's such an
Absolutely.
inspiration and fun, and it makes you feel yourself.
right.
And and when they say I want this, you better give it to them.
Right. Well, so like the doctor, he was born 3.5 months premature.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest concern at that early birth time or whatever is the lung development.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on a respirator for a long time. He was in the hospital for 4 months. They thought initially he would never breathe on his own. And when he was 5, we went to Disney World and he heard the bagpipes, which is like the most like breath intensive instrument you could like choose.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm gonna play those. And my parents were like, what? Because like,
You were the one on the respiratory thing, and you want to use your breath to play that.
right.
Yeah.
You want to like play this huge instrument that, right. And also, like, who knows, like, where do you get bagpipe lessons? Like, they're like, okay, if you want to play piano or something, I know where I can find a piano teacher. But, like, so they were like, okay, well, when you're older. And they kept trying to, like, put it off. Except that they, like, really weren't putting it off because they would buy him, like, CDs of bagpipe music. So they were, like, building it up. So he's 15, finally. We went to a Highland Games. And he met a bagpipe band. And it turns out that's how you learn bagpipes, is that you sort of become part of a band, and they sort of teach you as part of the band. And then he found a teacher, and he now plays with that band, and he competes with them, and he competes solo bagpipes, and he also plays the flute, and he can pick up like any instrument and just play it. He can hear your toaster and tell you like what key it's in, like the ding on your...
Oh.
So you're talking about like one sense is dulled, like he can't see anything. He's totally blind.
Someone scratching. Someone said, I can hear an ant scratching his ass from miles away.
Right.
Wow.
We'll be like sitting somewhere. He's like, oh, I hear a fire truck. And you're like, what? And then you hear it. Because he can hear it far away. And then he's got perfect pitch. So he's like, he can read Braille a little bit, but because of the intellectual development, reading's not his thing. So he has learned all his music by ear.
Wow.
He has like perfect pitch. He can't stand it when I sing because I do not have perfect pitch.
Keep on with your movement.
Uh-huh.
You know, your movement.
Keep dancing.
Yeah, keep dancing. Wow. One senses has been developed well.
Yes.
To accommodate the rest.
And so I this summer I went to Boston Ballet and did an adaptive dance training. So in the process of creating a program at Open Door Studios, like an inclusive dance class for teens of all abilities. So it could be someone who's typically abled, who's taken dance before or never taken dance before, and then it'll be open to people with any kind of disability that haven't had a lot of access to dance before. Because I know that everyone can dance and everyone should move, and I want to invite them into a space and give them that opportunity. So I'm really excited, and I'm really excited about it because I've seen him move and I know he can do it. There's a dance major at UNC Charlotte right now who's blind. So we've been working together on some projects. And it's been really interesting. It's like this new intellectual idea. Like we've been talking a lot about how can someone who's blind experience dance as an observer. So we know that blind people can dance, right? But how can they like be an observer at a performance?
I'm trying to digest that, ladies
right?
and
It's this deep
gentlemen.
question that we've been playing with. Because dance is something you visually, is like the way you enjoy it is you kinesthetically do it, right? Your body is in motion. And there's something very valuable in that. But then the way you watch it when it's performed is you watch. I mean, there's music playing. Sometimes you can hear sounds of movement, like feet on the ground or clapping hands or something like that. But the primary way you're consuming dance is through vision. So if you don't have that, are there other ways you could consume dance?
Maybe
and I think there are. I'm just not sure what they are yet.
Sound.
Yeah.
A trained pattern. Okay, when you hear this sound, it means he just moved his hands into the sky.
Right, but then you're taking it secondhand because you just described the kind of movement instead of allowing the blind person to experience the movement in some way.
You're killing me.
Right? No, this is like
wow. I can't wait to
his
see
name
this.
is Davian Robinson, and we've been talking about this. It's like this is a challenge like that we are interested in exploring.
Yes. Maybe technology can assist.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe you create specific choreography that's done in darkness. That has the observers on stage or in the same space as the movers. Right?
Wow. I can't wait to see it. Like, wow.
To
Okay.
experience it.
Yeah, like.
Because you might not be able to see it. What if we did a dance performance in total darkness?
And
then you yourself would have to experience it as like the way a blind person would.
There should be a premise to this. They should have to train me.
Train you to
because I believe there will be an educational way of helping people understand the basics so that they can build upon.
Yeah.
How the whole thing is felt.
Mhm. Okay, I like that. I'm taking notes.
Yeah, I'm closing my eyes, trying to. I do know in some way or some form it would be possible. Even I believe maybe technology could help. Help them see something. If we are taking seeing out of the equation, wow.
Well, because he was telling me that. So he's in choreography class right now, and he was telling me that when there's something happening on stage, someone's telling him, describing it to him. And even though they're trying to be totally objective, there's no way to be totally objective. Like, you're seeing art, so you're placing some of yourself into the description, even if you don't mean to. Even if you're trying to be just like tell it like it is, right? And so he's saying that he felt like everything he's experiencing is secondhand. And I mean, it's something I'm really interested in because my brother is like, again, like he's one of the most important people in my life. And I've chosen this profession that he's not able to witness most of the time. Right? Like he comes to my shows all the time because he's a great and supportive and wonderful person. But like he's like, can you please collaborate with some professional musicians because I'm tired of like paying money to sit somewhere and hear a recorded sound.
Wow.
And I have a piece that I do where I speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so he likes that piece more than some of the
It's
other.
very soothing.
Right.
Wow.
So, and then my thesis project in college was a dance piece about coffee because it's like my favorite thing in the world. So I had
what happened? Who invented coffee though?
It just came. Like it invented itself.
This is what I would say. And on the seventh day, God created coffee and rested.
But how could he rest? I think he created coffee on the first day.
Nah, I'm not going to touch this stuff.
He created the coffee the first day, and then
Okay,
it finally
yeah.
wore off on the seventh day.
Wow.
But he, but so I like mic'd like coffee makers that like the dripping sound, and then they were making coffee, so the whole theater smelled like coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the dancers making sounds like the steam sound of the like coffee being steamed at a coffee shop, and like talking like people, talking in a coffee shop.
Wow.
But he still couldn't see the movement.
I can sense it's. I've been around coffee shop. I've heard the sounds. I've heard the sounds of drops of water, but not in particular coffee. But I think I can have a sense of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to create an experience that he could be a part of.
You can be a part of. So your childhood has a lot, and it's more, I'll say, your brother inspired you in a way to keep doing certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he really influenced my teaching ability
Mm-hmm.
because through my relationship with him, I've developed a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Which I think as a teacher has served me really well. My husband is like, if you asked him if I was patient, he would be like, no.
No.
But in a classroom, like when people respond to my teaching, that's like, you're so patient. You're so like, so I'm just a different person when I'm teaching. And the rest of my life, I'm like, let's go, do it. Hurry up, let's move.
I know. I used to be a teacher back in Ghana, teaching IT, lower grades. And is it grade 8, grade 12? Do we have grade 12 here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was where I ended. And I'm patient with the kids. Let's do this.
Are you
again.
patient with adults? Because I'm a little bit of a Luddite.
Yeah.
You can help me out. Teach me how to use a computer.
Oh, yeah. I can. Once I switch into the teaching mode, I think I recognize that there are steps and people are different and stuff. But I was patient with the kids, calm, not getting angry or anything.
Right.
Because I'm like, this is a profession. This is something I have to switch into. But when I'm home with my younger brother and he's messing up, give me that. Bam. Like, it's so funny how the environment and what we are about to do sort of makes us perform things in a certain way.
Yeah, we like step into a role and
Yeah.
like
We're a
become
new
that
person.
thing.
Oh, ooh, that's so new. What are you doing? I couldn't believe you could do this. Yeah, because I'm not going to do that with you, but I'm going to do that. As you were saying, you're going to be, I don't know if you're patient or not with your husband. He's testifying. He knows what it is. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that is excellent. So, dear Camerin, are you still nervous? Let me ask you.
No, I'm doing good.
You're doing good?
What do you feel?
I feel
Is it going okay?
I feel you're still nervous.
You think I'm still nervous?
Yeah. Because you painted that picture in my mind now.
That I'm nervous?
Yeah.
I think I'm feeling okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really sure how this is, like, I'm a little, I'm now aware.
You're now aware.
That this isn't going to be edited. So this is going to be like part of our...
It's not going to be edited unless you say something against the army or, what? I think that's it.
Okay. I'm not going to say anything really bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything. You can say fuck. You can say, oh my God. You can say...
I'm a teacher and a mom. I find that if I cuss in my adult life, it matriculates into my life in front of children. And
when you're running for president, they'll dig this up, so just be careful.
Though apparently you can say anything and still be elected president, so I'm not worried about it. Oh wait, no, I'm not a white man, so never mind.
Oh, what a concept.
Huh. Okay. We have to be more careful.
Nah, I'm okay. I think I'll run.
You're going to run for president?
I'll ban all these videos and stuff. And all those text messages I send to people. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, just kidding. Yeah. So, Camerin, what event, growing up or even now, what event wouldn't you forget? Good or bad? Blow us away.
Well, my impulse is to say the birth of my brother.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of already talked about him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first time I was ever on stage, that's probably not the first time I was ever on stage, but, the first time I really remember being on stage, I was in a play in middle school called The Ugly Duckling. And I was, in fact, the ugly duckling.
Oh.
Who was a princess.
You complete my imagination. I knew you were going to be the star.
Well, yes. I mean, there was like 4 people in the whole cast. So we were sort of all stars. But there's something about being in front of an audience that I just was like, this is where I want to live my life. So even though I didn't start dancing until later, like I thought I was going to do something with theater. I'm not really that good of an actor. So it's a good thing I found dance. I'm better at that. And I like to combine the two, actually. Like there's this modern dance thing called the modern dance face. Right? Where you're supposed to look like you. You're like, you're supposed to be telling the story with your body. So your face is like deadpan. And I can't really. It's not my thing. Like, I really believe in being a person and present on stage. Yes, it's like if my face shows emotion, then you'll be distracted from. And the idea is that you want to tell the story with the body, but my face is part of my body, and it's the expressive part. And I think for me, dance is an expressive thing. And so, anyway, so I'm interested in imparting something. But anyway, it was a really great experience. And when I got off stage, there was like little kids that came to see the show, and they like wanted my autograph.
Ooh.
And I never really wanted to be famous or anything, but like the idea that someone valued what I had done so much that they thought I was worth like having my autograph, like it was pretty cool. There's a lot of power on stage.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I've sort of redeveloped what I believe about art and how it's shared and gone deeper, definitely. But this idea that you could influence people without telling them how they should or could feel, but giving them sort of a space to reckon with that themselves.
Interesting. Were you anxious?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think if you ever go on stage or, I don't know, perform in some way and you're not a little bit nervous, or for me, if I'm not a little bit nervous, it's like not going to be a good performance. It's not going to go well. There's something about that nervousness that like heightens your presence in space and makes you like super focused, and there's something valuable in that.
Yeah, I think when you're not everybody gets nervous in a way. Maybe from time to time it goes away, but being nervous helps you it to be real. It helps you acknowledge what is about to happen. Okay, it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I better not mess up.
Right.
So you were a little bit nervous, and you know what? I remember some time ago. I went to the church. I was part of a church. I used to go to church back in Ghana, and I was asked to read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny what happens when you're on stage and you don't remember what you're looking at. You're looking at something, but you don't remember where you're going with it.
Right.
I kept repeating the same word. So let's say I'll be repeating. It was Revelation. I forgot, Revelation chapter 9 or something. I kept repeating psychology, 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 psychology chapter. I'm like, what is this? And I don't know why. So yeah, that's how it feels sometimes. And
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it back home to this, what you were saying. When you are able to complete something, and you feel it was a good thing, you
Mhm.
got it done well, you are able to draw reference from it from time to time to boost your confidence, to move forward
Yeah.
with whatever you're doing or any new thing you want to do. But to draw it from an embarrassing memory, it's not really cool. So it's always good. And I believe what happened during your childhood, with what happened, I believe it sort of reinforces you in doing certain things even nowadays.
Yeah.
Unless I'm lying.
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. So, Cameron, I want you to tell me, dear. Do you have a question? Let me ask you.
I'm okay right now.
You
I'll keep
okay?
you posted.
You keep me posted.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, dear. I just went blank. Do you remember the questions?
I don't, but I had something I was going to add to what you just said, so
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
So,
you talk to me anytime, please.
So this is not, you were talking about like the things that shape us and embarrassing moments.
Mhm.
So this happened as a young adult, but it's really hard to get people to write critically about dance. There's not even much critical writing happening right now around theater in Charlotte. Because anyway, that's a whole issue. But I did get a critique a couple of years ago, one of my early shows right after I moved here. And I knew the piece wasn't the greatest thing I'd ever choreographed, and then the critique just ripped it apart. And I went I didn't want anybody to see the critique. I was so excited to have my work written up in a newspaper, but then it was just scathing, and I was I can't share this with anyone. But people saw it because somebody else, another dancer, got a good critique in the same article, so she was sharing it with the whole community, right? So I was really embarrassed about it, and I stopped making work for a while. I stopped creating new work, and I was dancing for other people. It wasn't I stopped dancing, but I wasn't choreographing.
Mhm.
But ultimately, it had the effect of making me change the whole way I work, the whole way I create work. So this embarrassing, challenging moment ended up being really
Helpful one.
right.
Wow.
And it's led to, so I now work collaboratively almost exclusively. And I also really believe in feedback, because I never want to put a piece on stage again that hasn't already gone through a critical process, right? I want to do it, and then I want people to come and watch it and be okay, that part was just, or these are the questions I have, or this doesn't make any sense to me. And sometimes you're going to be well, it does make sense, so sorry, you didn't get it. And sometimes you're going to be okay, how can I change this to make it something that people can get something from? Because I don't think that art is created in a vacuum. I want art to be a community experience. I create art in order to talk about the things I don't know how to talk about in another way, right? So I want that to be a dialogue. I don't want to stand on my soapbox and just preach. I want the audience, I want the community to be able to engage in it. And so if so I think that feedback is an important piece of that, right? So it, first of all, allows non-dancers or people that aren't involved in this process to think critically about work in a way that they might not have another opportunity to, which builds, I think, their ability to be engaged in art across genres. But also, it makes the piece like something that people can engage with, something that, like, I want to know what your questions are, because maybe I want you to have those questions. Like, maybe that's where the dialogue is headed. But also maybe it's, like, maybe it's too obscure or abstract, and so we need to, like, direct more. And I think in some work, I want it to be pretty open, and in some work, I want to be like, this is what I'm trying to say, and this is what I want you to be able to vibe off of after you leave this space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Some has to be structured, and some, because you want to send a specific message, and some you just want them to deduce whatever they can out of it.
Or there's like a more universal or abstract message that we can all connect to in different ways. So, like, I have a piece about white privilege, right? And I was saying I have a piece I talk. So it's a combination of spoken word and dance. So I'm telling you my story, like verbally telling you my story, and then backing that up with the movement, right? And sort of extrapolating it with the movement. But what I wanted to do with that is tell you my story, right? Whereas, like, right now I'm working on a new work about gender and about, well, really about periods. And
the full stop? Okay.
No, not the full stop. The menstrual cycle.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yep. And but this is like this should be a universal thing. It shouldn't be something that only, this is not a women's issue. It's like a life issue.
I'm about to have my.
Am I making you uncomfortable?
I'm about to have my. Just kidding.
Boys PMS too. Don't even play.
Really?
Y'all definitely go through hormonal shifts that cause you to be.
I don't remember.
At special times of the month.
Do we?
Yes, you do.
How can I put mine to use so that I can be?
Just recognize that it's happening.
Some of the ladies like, leave me alone. Really?
Yeah, men's hormones go through like changes over the course of time. It's not in the same like 28-day period necessarily, but y'all get moody. Don't play with me.
We do, but maybe it's from
you don't have to deal
else.
with the rest of the physical symptoms.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Google, get ready. I'm coming for you.
But it is a universal thing. Like women's stories are things that are, I mean, that's all of our stories, right? Like we're all, it affects all of us. And women's access to period products and the like the way that we're treated about that subject is like, I don't know, it's like pushed under the rug. No one wants to talk about it, right? But I want to recognize that it's a universal experience. But I don't want to tell you, I'm not trying to tell you something about a period, right? Because we all have our own experiences with them, even guys that try to pretend they don't. You've experienced them in some ways.
Yeah, from the ladies. Yeah.
Yeah, they're an important part of our culture.
Yeah.
We can't say that, like, I don't experience it, so it doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah, it does matter. You know what it is and the time of the month, so you know what to do and how to talk with your lady. You know how to, you need this, I can run to the store, get you this hot heating pad, I can do this for you, I can, well,
and even more basic, I mean, that is very important, and but even more basically than that, like, it's an important part of the reproductive system. Like, It's why we're here. If women didn't have periods, they wouldn't have babies. And we would have died off a long time ago.
I would contest to that. There would have been a way, but
that is the
now,
way, right? Like, it should be this valuable thing.
Yes.
It's what allows us to procreate.
Yeah. If a lady can't do that, then something is wrong. Yeah.
And so, anyway, so I don't think that this piece that I'm creating is going to be like as much like my story is this. It's going to be like,
our story.
What is your story and how does it respond to what we're sharing on stage? So It might be more abstract. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's it wouldn't be abstract. To me, what I'm sensing is that it's not going to be abstract, in the sense that as long as you relate it to life situations, and since you're saying it's not just a ladies thing, but it's a general thing, you'll bring it home to me, because like I'm able to put myself in their shoes, in my own situations, to make it meaningful to me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
And I think I also want to make people a little uncomfortable.